welcome each and every one of you to the City of Chelsea 2018 Veterans Ceremony. I'm grateful for each and every one of you for taking the time to come and help us commemorate our military servicemen and women who have sacrificed so much for so long for our great nation. We have a great program here and some great speakers. So with that being said, we should always start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So will you please join me?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And for many this year, the Pledge of Allegiance takes even a greater significance, especially during Veterans Day, recent elections, over 100 million people voting during a midterm election. You see the movement of people really wanting to get involved, and I'm very appreciative for each and every one of you who've come out, who are representative of that new energy. Now, with that being said, we're going to move on to the convocation, which is going to be done by Anthony Wayne Rocky.
Correct.
With the PAV. All right. Thank you.
God bless us, everyone.
Amen.
Who said that?
Amen.
I believe it's Tiny Tim, yes. I just took a trip to Europe. I promised my grandmother when I was very young that I would take a trip someday to Europe. She never got to go back. I don't think she ever wanted to go back, because I know for a fact she hid people and all that. And she might have been Jewish herself. That I can't find out. She left me a beautiful piece of jewelry, a Star of David. Well, that's not that important. Okay, I went to Poland, had a wonderful time, blah, blah, blah. My next trip was to Germany. Hadn't been there in 64 years. I got on the train from Poland, went to Berlin, saw what was left, the memorial to the wall, but I have an original piece of reinforcement leaving to my children. I went to Frankfurt. I'm 82 years old. My children said I would never make the trip, and also my wife of 60 years, which I'm very proud of. I'm in Frankfurt, and this woman comes along, big gal, full of strength. You could see it with oozing out of her. And she said to me, we're on a train. She helped me with my luggage. My wheel broke on my piece of luggage, one of the wheels. It was difficult to carry around. She said, so where you going? I said, to Landstuhl. She said, well, that's where I'm going. And she started telling me a little story. I said, well, she was retired, a surgeon from Sevilla money, and she joined the government. And she immediately went over to Landstuhl Regional Hospital, where all the guys are coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan, okay? She said, well, when are you going to Landstuhl? I said, well, reacquainted with the town, so long and all that, but that's not the important thing. I'm over there to entertain the troops, recuperate and all that. I said, I sing, I dance, I do magic, and trivia. I could talk for hours about all the wonderful people I have met, not only here in Chelsea, but everywhere. I'm proud of that fact. I'm proud that I was born in Chelsea. And I'll never forget the city, and I always come back. I always got the newspapers when I was overseas everywhere. I was in the Air Force for 21 years. Great life, loved it. Okay, let me get back to for the men. So she said, no, you're not gonna entertain. You're gonna sit there and hold these guys' hands. She says, have you seen the damage from battle? I said, yes, I have. When I was in Germany, I saw quite a bit of it. She said, well, then you'd be able to deal with it. I said, I sure would. So I went and I sat with, mangled bodies, whatever, whatever was wrong with the guys and everything, and talk to them and tell them how much America loves you and we appreciate everything you're doing. So that made me feel pretty good. Which brings up to me, I met a man in Saugus recently, we were talking, and he said to me, life is hard. I said, compared to what? Be grateful, no matter what your condition, your lot in life, shall we say? That word lot, that's those. We're alive. The alternative, do what we can, show love and peace to everybody. Parents, talk to your children. I might be getting off the beaten path, but I'm dead serious because there is too much turmoil in our world. And if you pray to your God, whoever he might be, and God bless you all. Thank you very much.
A wonderful story. I've never been to Poland. Traveling Europe the way you have, very impressive. Someday in retirement, I'll get to that, I have to overcome.
Well, I'm still going strong, as long as I can breathe, I will do things, help people. Let me tell you this, I went to the VA the other day. I came into a little money due to the DAV, Disabled American Veteran. I created a near riot. I went into the dining room area, the canteen, whatever you want to call it, of the VA, and I started handing out $100 bills. I gave out, I don't know, like $2,000. The cops were arresting me and accused me having counterfeit money and whatever you could think about, yeah. It was quite an experience.
I'm sure it was, and I'm going to have to give you my phone number.
It's like Halloween, I didn't give out candy, money.
It sounds like an official veterans event.
My wife always says, it's only money. Well, now she's complaining I'm giving it away. Not much, but trying to help people here.
Hey, every little bit counts, as they say. Well, thank you for that, Anthony. And now we're going to take the national anthem, and I'm very grateful to the Chelsea School Department for providing and coordinating the person who's going to do our national anthem. And I'm going to try and pronounce it as best as I can, so I apologize ahead. Samantha Iraheta. Iraheta? All right. Everyone rise.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed
That was exceptional. Thank you, Samantha. She'll be, if she keeps singing like that, she'll be in Fenway in no time. City Councilor Robinson, could you come up for a second, please?
I'd also like to welcome everybody here today. And I am a veteran of Vietnam War. One of the things that we kind of forget in Chelsea here, that we lost 11 Chelsea young men. Mainly were all friends of mine or connected to other people in this community. And I think we forget that sometimes, but I like to bring that up so we can remind people that of the sacrifices that the city of Chelsea did in regards to the war. Thank you. Whereas since the Commonwealth colonial days, thousands of men and women have served our country in defense of freedom and liberty. And whereas on November 11, 1918, the armistice was signed in the forests of Champagne by the Allied nations in Germany, ending World War I. The war to end all wars after 4 years of conflict. And whereas since that day, every November, people from around the nation have gathered to honor our veterans. And whereas there are approximately 388,000 veterans living in Massachusetts. And whereas today we are remembered of the great sacrifice and contributions our veterans have made to our country. And whereas we honor and salute those who served our country throughout the generations with honor, patriotism, courage, and whereas it is appropriate that all Massachusetts citizens remember the bravery of those who served their country so that their dedication and sacrifice serve as a reminder of the cost of our freedom. And whereas in November 2018, the world will commemorate the 100th anniversary armistice that ended the fighting in World War I at 11 a.m., November 11th, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. Now therefore, I, Charles D. Baker, Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, do hereby proclaim November 11, 2018 to be Veterans Day. And also, we probably have one of the oldest vets in the city of Chelsea sitting here with us today, Mr. Langello.
Thank you, Councilor Robinson. And now, I'd like to invite our esteemed city manager, Thomas Ambrosino.
Well, thank you, Francisco, and I too want to welcome everyone to our small and intimate celebration of Veterans Day. You know, I'm actually really proud to be city manager of a community that makes it a point to have an event on Veterans Day. Not every small community does that, but I think it's very important that no matter how small the event, that we take some time on Veterans Day, both to express our appreciation to the veterans who served us so honorably, and to reflect upon those veterans no longer here with us, some of whom gave their ultimate sacrifice for our country. You know, as Councilor Robinson pointed out in the Governor's proclamation, this is a special Veterans Day. It's the 100th anniversary of the signing of the armistice that ended World War I, and that led to the creation of this day. And it's also significant for Chelsea because we just celebrated a milestone, a groundbreaking of a brand new $200 million skilled nursing facility that will be built at the Soldiers Home site. Now, they provide tremendous service at the Soldiers Home for our veterans, for our aging veterans, in the existing facility, but this will be a state-of-the-art facility that will really ensure quality care for aging veterans and other veterans in need of skilled nursing services. And so we're very proud that that is going to occur here in Chelsea. And certainly, there are a lot of veterans in need of those kind of services. We, I think, tend to forget how many men and women are still serving right now in very dangerous war zones. The fact that places like Afghanistan and Syria and even Iraq are no longer dominating the national nightly news, barely get a mention actually on our newscasts or in our newspapers. Men and women of America are still serving by the thousands and thousands in these very dangerous areas. So we certainly can never take this service for granted. I hope that they always remain in our prayers, but most importantly, we have to ensure that when they return home, they have the services that they deserve from government, and including from local government. I'm proud to say, at least, that I know that occurs here at the Chelsea Soldiers Home, thanks to the great work of Superintendent Poppy. And I'm also proud to say that they get great services here in the city of Chelsea proper, thanks to Francisco and his group of volunteers. So, on behalf of the whole city, I just want to thank all the veterans here and watching for their tremendous service. Assure you that you will always be in our prayer, and also assure you that veterans' services and veterans' needs will always be a priority for the city of Chelsea. So thank you and God bless you. I just wanted to add one thing, just to mention their elected officials who've joined us this morning. State Representative Rosalie Vincent. We already heard from City Council Leo Robinson. We're joined by City Council Calvin Brown. And we're joined by School Committee Member Richard Morosky. So again, thank you. Enjoy the rest of the brief ceremony, and then we'll have a nice lunch.
Okay, before we start with our guest speaker, I just want to take an opportunity to sort of express for me, besides the gratitude that I sincerely and deeply have for each and every one who's here today. It's not about quantity, it's about quality. I know that when I was part of my unit, the guy to your left and the guy to your right meant the world. You know, if something went down with your buddy, he would share very intimate letters, you know, about stuff that was going on at home, stuff that wasn't going so well. For anybody who's been in the service, we don't like Jody, okay? We don't like home issues sometimes, but when I see each and every one of you here, you know, it represents, for this community, the guy on the left, the guy on the right, the people who care about our veterans, and the ones who couldn't make it here today, who've come many years in the past. One of the things that really sort of put that light bulb on was when the city manager, Tom, mentioned Francisco and his volunteers. It's very difficult to do the amount of stuff that we have to do, and I beat myself up every day because I always feel like I could do more. But without the volunteers, Keith, Kevin, Fawn, Roy, Anthony, Pam, who's not here, but who was at the event last night and so many others. It would be close to impossible to get it done, and without our partners in the legislature, such as Rosalie Vincent, Representative Rosalie Vincent, Dan Ryan, Sal DiDomenico, it would be literally impossible. So I am just so very grateful for each and every one of you and the commitment you've shown. Those at home who couldn't come in today, we understand. But I'm grateful for those who are here and for those who aren't, who have done so much to help me help the veterans of this community. And with that being said, you know, for all of the veterans who are fortunate to be here this year, I'd like to take just a brief moment of silence for each and every one of our veterans who couldn't make it because they've parted from where we are right now. Please. Thank you. And now, I'd like to call up a Chelsea local, Chelsea veteran with the Rotary Club, which is one of our other tremendous partners in helping us do veterans events here in the city and veterans programming, Chamber of Commerce, and Chelsea Clock Company. Bruce Munch.
Thank you, Jose. Welcome, everybody. I don't know really why I'm the guest speaker, but I'm the guest speaker, so I'll talk. Thank you all for being here. At this day, 100 years ago, my father was in France, in the front lines, helping in the war. I have a brother who then served in Vietnam, and I served in Vietnam. Back in 1967, I got a friendly letter from my favorite uncle. I was established in my job, having people work for me, and I got an invitation from my favorite Uncle Sam, who said, I am offering you an all-expense-paid 2-year vacation courtesy of the government. And with that, I became an Army veteran. I got to see, as they say, you see the world. I was able to spend time in Kentucky, time in New Jersey, time in Arizona, and time in Vietnam. And in Vietnam, I served with the 307th Combat Aviation Group, 244th Surveillance Airplane Company in Can Tho, Vietnam. I was very lucky. Actually, I was very lucky all through the service. I always had good duties, never had to put up with a lot of the nonsense that a lot of you may have to put up. Always had good officers, good commanders. But when I landed in Can Tho, in Cam Ranh, my first assignment was to support the 1st Cav in I Corps. And I wasn't looking forward to that. Fortunately, my order changed, and I went to 4th Corps, which was basically a very quiet combat area. Didn't get shot at, a few things like that. It was good, but I enjoyed it. One of the things I gathered from the service, when I went to service, I was living in Wisconsin, so I was lived a very sheltered life in Wisconsin, northern Wisconsin. And the thing I found, one of the things I got out of the service was it brought a lot of people together. I met a lot of people from the South with my company and stuff who had very misconceptions about other people. And I think the Army, when they learned that they had to serve side by side, they found that everybody is a person. We are all people. And it changed their misconceptions about the diversity. You know, you live in Chelsea and nobody scares us. Nobody, we're not afraid of anybody because we're a very diverse community. We know everybody, we know every type of person, race, nationality, whatever, and so it doesn't bother us. But I met people in the Army who came from the South, et cetera, and they weren't exposed to diversity. And I think the Army helped bring them a lot of awareness. They changed their whole attitudes by the time they got through the service. Things in the world have changed too. Us Vietnam veterans, when we came back, we weren't appreciated. We had a very hard time because people didn't like Vietnam veterans. I can remember even up in Wisconsin when there would be a Vietnam veteran funeral service, motorcycle gangs came to protect the cemetery from protesters because we couldn't even bury our veterans peacefully because there's so much protest and so much anger against the veterans. Today, it's so much nicer. Get free meals wherever you want today. People treat veterans, give us the respect that we are due for the sacrifices we make. Like I say, I had a nice period in the service, had decent service, didn't get injured, didn't get wounded. Actually, none of my friends in the service, none of them, we were all fortunate, we all made it back home. That was my whole agenda when I got to Vietnam. I was coming home, I didn't partake in any activities some took place, but it just, you know, it was good to get home, but the anguish was not good. It just wasn't appreciated. Now we're well appreciated. I hope a lot of you will be attending the Rotary luncheon tomorrow. The Rotary Club is sponsoring the luncheon for all veterans. It's down at the Homeward Suites. But it's all part of the recognition that we now are receiving. The sacrifices we make, like I say, when I was drafted, my career was set already, I had a job established, I had people working for me. 2 years later, when I came back, I was working for those same people. So even though I didn't suffer mentally or physically, you still suffer in your career because you gave your 2 years or whatever years to service. And so, like I say, it's now that we're being recognized, it's good. I work with Chelsea Clock. Chelsea Clock, for those who don't know, is for years and still is the major supplier of clocks for the U.S. Navy. If you served in the Navy, you had to feel at home every time you looked in your ship because there was a Chelsea clock telling you that's your home. And we still make clocks for the U.S. Navy, but they buy the cheap ones now. They don't buy the good old mechanical wind-up ones. Everybody's cutting back, but we do that. But the business community appreciates veterans. We're always looking for veterans to hire because veterans have given their time, and it's just a great thing to do. I don't know what else to say. Just that, you know, it's great to be a veteran now versus what it was, and the country really recognizes it. It's good.
Thank you, Bruce. I'll tell you, each year we have a speaker, and it takes a little bit of effort to find someone, but we always, I always feel like it's a blessing to really hear a veteran open up about his experiences and give us a perspective. I mean, yeah, I was in the service, but I wasn't in all four of them. And each and every veteran, even though I'm a veteran, adds to the stories and the pages that I know. And that's, you know, with a few thousand cases under my belt and that I've heard and worked with. There's surprisingly always something added to it. And I think that's one of the beautiful parts of my job. All right, and with that saying, as we approach sort of the closing part. I want to take an opportunity, first and foremost, to just thank everyone. I want to thank, Rosalie, Representative Rosalie Woodson, for being such a great veterans advocate up there at the House. We need more legislators like that that are really for. She might not be the Speaker of the House, but I guarantee you she's heard, and we're grateful as a community to have someone who cares about our veterans as much as she does. Our city councilors, we have various who are veterans themselves. I remember Leo and Ron at the Care About Now meetings, and every now and then you'd hear them talking about their service, and it would kind of touch you and say, hey, I want a part of that. I want to be able to say someday that I did something other than just for myself, but for my country. And I'm grateful to all of you who were in the community when I was younger. And now it's our turn to sort of endear the next generation to sort of come in and let them know that we're going to try and provide the best services possible. We've had some challenges in providing services, but people want to talk about, the casino and the housing developments and all that. But to me, from my perspective, one of the greatest part is not only is Massachusetts the best veteran services of all 50 states, hand down, but having the Soldiers Home, the partnership with Superintendent Cheryl Poppy in this city is kind of like, here you got the country, here you got the best services, and here in the city of Chelsea, the main facility, 154 units of state-of-the-art, telehealth, computer screen, camera, specialists from another state doing direct service. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. I'm not going to throw out Star Trek and Star Wars or anything like that, but it's about as close as and best service that we could get for our veterans. And for me, it's a source of pride. I couldn't chip in too much. The project was a little bit out of my league, but I'm very grateful that from the legislature down to the city manager's office, I've been so supportive. Other than that, I want to let you guys know soon the Department of Veteran Services is going to be moving to the library because we're going to get all new offices. And I'm very happy and excited how Tom, once he understood the needs of the department, was so quick to really jump in and get the ball rolling and getting that done. After so many years, it's great to have that level of support because sometimes you have outside of the office 50, 60-hour day, weeks, and you're doing work on Saturday and Sunday. I was at an event for the UMass Boston to recognize the Gold Star mothers over by the seaport with Gus St. Silva, and then yesterday the Revere veterans, today the Chelsea veterans, tomorrow the Rotary veterans, and before you know it, so when you invest that much, it's great to see that your leaders are being just as supportive, and it makes it all so much worthwhile, so much more worthwhile. And I'm very grateful. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Representative Rosalie. Thank you, our city councilors, our school committee, all of you for being here. And with that being said, of course. And Councilor Brown would like to come up and say a few words.
Thank you, Francisco, for giving me the opportunity. Yesterday we were in church, and every Veterans Day we have a Veterans Day service. So our pastor, Bishop Robert G. Brown, asked one of our disciples at the church to write a poem on Veterans Day. So I just was here as a father, as a son of a veteran, as a brother of a veteran. I wanted to just share a few words. So thank you again, Francisco, for giving me the opportunity to read this poem, which was written by one of our disciples at Zion Church Ministry. A day to honor who have all served in peace, time, and wartime. A way to give thanks to all them that have made this day a better day for us. For giving so much more, we pray God bless America, and we hope for the best. But our service men and women are the reason we are blessed. Army and Navy, Air Force, Marines serve to our country. It's more than it seems. Through all of their training and the rigid tests, each one is determined to strive to do their best. Many wars have shattered all the peace and brought the world a much pain. But our military troops restored the peace again. Through blood battles, they answered the call to fight for freedom and gave it their all. Families waited back in the States to hear words of their sons and daughters. Some came back home, others did not. But the fell to the enemy gun. The sadness permeates us in the air when our brave persons fell, who promised to defend the flag. To this day they still call. Again, all enemies they said too, I will protect this land, obeying their orders to the end. But God Almighty had his hand. One day a year is not enough to properly convey the love and the gratitude we share to all you veterans today. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Brown, for sharing that with us. And with much ado, I can't sincerely say enough how thankful I am for each and every person here. Just remember that soon the office will be moving. So if you're looking for me, I believe I'm going to be in the library for a few months. Don't say, oh, the veteran agent is never there for 4 months. I'm in another location just because we're improving, and Tom has been a huge advocate of improving services across the board for the city. And I'm grateful to be part of that blessing. And I think that's good. I want to thank Sabor Especial Restaurant, which is at 83 William Street, for the food. And we have La Chula Restaurant, which is a new restaurant here in the community. And they provided some wonderful food as well. And then we have one of our fellow veterans, Roberto Cepeda, who has donated what looks like some very tasty flan. Although I can only have so much, I will enjoy that so much, very much. Thank you, everyone. Hold on. Woo. We're gonna reverse, okay? We're gonna get the shit back into duck. Just for a quick second. Another one of our great veteran advocates, and I would be so amiss not to mention our Senator Sandra Domenico. Please come on.
Morning, everyone. I'll be very brief because I know that I'm keeping you from that. So, and I'm out of breath from running to get there on time. We'll get there before you close the program. I apologize for being late. I have several of these across my district this morning, but I wanted to be here today to say thank you to our veterans. There isn't really a group of people in the entire country or around the world that has done so much for so many people in the U.S. veteran. You go in harm's way every single day, making sure that our country and our world is safe. And I mentioned this at my previous event. I want to just talk a little bit about my grandfather. My grandfather, as many veterans, served in World War II. He fought for 100 straight days in battle. He didn't know if he was coming home, didn't know when the battle was going to stop, didn't know what he was gonna find around the corner. He fought in Europe for 100 straight days. Came home, like most veterans do, and did not talk about his time in the military. Did not talk about what he experienced, not even telling his own wife and his own children what he saw. When we wanted to bring him back to Italy for vacation, decades later, he said, I'm all done with that. I've seen it, I've been there, I'm good. And at his funeral, one of his friends who served with him in the military told us a lot of reasons why he never spoke about it. When he was storming one of the beaches in France, he was running up to his target with two of his friends on either side. And as they were running towards their target with their mission, his two friends on either side of him were shot and killed. And he had to keep moving because his job was to get to that target. And his two friends on either side of him did not make it that day. And that lived with him the rest of his life. And we saw pictures of the destruction that he took, which we never saw until after he passed away. But he saw that destruction, he saw cities crumble. He saw people in the worst possible positions that they've experienced in their lives. And just seeing that in front of you, that has to have a lasting impact on you. Now, our state is the #1 state in the entire country for veteran benefits. We are very proud of that. Very proud of that. But I am also aware that even though the mission of these veterans has been completed, our mission as legislators is not. Because we still have homelessness in our state, in our country, veterans. We still have veterans who cannot find homes, who have drug addictions, who experience trauma, mental health issues, unemployed. So even though we have a great state who supports our veterans, we can do more, and we should do more. So I want to thank all my veterans for being here, for all that you've done in your families who have lived it with you as well. The veterans' families is a tremendous amount of sacrifice for you as well, for your families and your friends and people that have experienced this with you. And like my grandmother and my mother and my aunts and uncles, living with someone who experienced all of that is a tremendous, it's a lot of pride, obviously, but obviously not knowing what is in that person's head is also tough for those family members as well. So thank you very much for all that you do. Happy Veterans Day, and let's support our veterans not just today, not just recognize them today, but all year long as well. Thank you very much.
All right, everyone, thank you again. Please enjoy.